Hi, I'm Dr. Christy Kane. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I'm excited to spend a few minutes talking with you. I've decided that I would do this presentation more from the perspective of a mental health counselor as though you were a client sitting in my office. So this is not going to be a formal presentation with a PowerPoint, but I'm hoping this will be one of those eye-to-eye, knee-to-knee conversations so that we can make good impact in the lives of those who we care about. The topic that I've been given to discuss today is teaching children healthy sexuality. Now, I know you're attending a conference on helping deal with the plague of pornography and what you can do to help keep those that you love safe. Well, I'm going to come at this topic from a different angle by talking about sexuality. It is estimated today that 98% of our young people have access to a smartphone. You may not know this, but in COVID, the rates of viewing on the smartphone more than doubled. The other issue that you may not be aware of is the mental health request rate for services for young people between the ages of 3 and 23 in COVID went up by 98%. And in some areas, there was a 300% increase for certain issues such as self-harming. We have just completed a pandemic with worldwide focus, but we've been in another pandemic for a long time, and that is the pervasiveness in pornography, in altering and changing how our children and our young people and our young adults, and even adults for that matter, engage in healthy sexuality. Not so long ago, CNN did a very interesting study. They interviewed a bunch of freshmen, college young men on campuses across the United States. And they asked them, why do you view pornography? Their number one answer was to understand sexuality. They made the comment that it's a taboo topic and not being talked about by their parents or in their communities. And so out of curiosity and to seek information, that's the source that they go to. They also noted that by going to that source, they were very confused. Let me give you an example. One thing they talked about is they're told repeatedly that if a girl says no in the realm of sexual activity, then a young man is supposed to follow that. But yet in viewing pornography, no meant yes. As a matter of fact, no meant become more aggressive. So the young men indicated that even in the viewing of pornography to try to understand sexuality, they were confused. The other information that was gained in that study was the young men also indicated that they felt very emasculated by what they viewed and recognized that they weren't the type of individuals young girls were looking for. Another study on sexuality for our young people indicated that by the time our young people come together to actually meet face to face, they've already shared so much sexual content and talked so much about sexualities that it's just about doing the deed, for lack of a better description. So we've got to begin changing things. For a long time, especially in religious faith and different cultures, we taught morality. But morality, in some aspects, didn't help prepare young people for healthy sexuality. So we need to switch the dialogue, and we need to start at younger and younger ages. Today, the average age for a young person in the United States to have a smartphone is the age of 10. You know, I receive many phone calls. I visit with many people who have tragic stories at finding out that their young people, as young as 5, 6, 7, and 8, have been viewing pornography. And so we have to start talking about the topic of healthy sexuality at younger and younger ages. We can begin by talking about what is considered safe touching and appropriate touching at different ages. We can begin with our young people explaining that sexuality is a wonderful and a beautiful and amazing part of our lives, and something that should be expressed at the right time and in the right place and with the right person. We need to take away and eliminate secrecy. So many times when we shame, when we apply guilt, when we go to secrecy, we create curiosity, and oftentimes curiosity in the wrong way. So other thing we need to do is begin to discuss healthy sexuality. You know, the other issue that's going on in our community is we have an increased constant discussions of gender identity, gender orientation. If we don't have these conversations with our young people, they're going to seek for information from other sources. So we need to talk about the role of a male, the role of a female in healthy sexuality, what that means in a marriage, what that means in preparation for dating, what that means when we are dating. How do we act? How do we treat each other? What's appropriate to share in texting? What's appropriate to share face-to-face? What's appropriate to share at certain levels of relationships? There is so much that we can offer to our children to help protect them and to help them understand so that they want to wait when it's appropriate, so they want to engage when it's appropriate and not when the world says. Almost all of the material online carries a sexual connotation. Look at TV and television now. Sexuality has become a blatant part of programming. I grew up with Gilligan's Island, and you didn't see the sexuality that our young people see today. Even in cartoons, anime, for example, is a huge cartoon for young people, and yet it's blatantly sexual. If we're going to get ahead of this pandemic of pornography, if we're going to make an indent, if we're going to protect our children, if we're going to give them a chance to be able to experience healthy relationships, it's going to be by talking about healthy sexuality. Now, when I say that, I mean blatantly, bluntly, almost on a daily basis. Parents say, well, can we have the talk and be done? There's no such thing anymore in our society about having the talk. Parents need to engage in open conversations with their children, such as, I'm so glad we waited until we were married. I'm so glad that I know how to respect your mom and understand that she's a beautiful, amazing sexual woman, and this is what it means. And I'm so glad that I get to be with your father and that we have a very healthy sexual relationship. We need to be willing to ask questions. We need to be willing to eliminate shame. If the kids want to understand and know what sexuality is, the source for that information needs to come from parents. It will come in the media. It will come on social media. It will come via pornography if we are not mindful and taking charge of these conversations. It's estimated today that over 73% of our young women are sharing inappropriate, nude-based pictures of themselves via sexting. I'm going to be speaking at the National Resource Officers Conference, and they have indicated that one of the main issues for resource officers in schools is sexting and bullying. Help your young people understand that if they're caught with any type of pictures that are of underage young people that are inappropriate, they can be charged. Help your young people know what to share and what not to share online. It's estimated that over 90% of our young men have received pictures, whether they solicited them or not, in the form of sexting. We need to help our young people understand the importance of protecting their body, their importance of sharing certain conversations only in certain settings. We need to help them understand that they can prepare to have a very healthy sexual relationship at the right time and the right place with the right person. And again, that's going to come from very blunt conversations about sexuality at younger and younger ages. 10, 11, 8, 9-year-olds are being exposed to pornography. Their young minds do not know how to translate what they're seeing. So parents need to be aware and mindful. And if a child comes to you and they tell you that they viewed pornography, don't react, don't get upset, don't get mad. Simply have the conversation. What did you view? What questions do you want to ask? Let's talk about this. Let me explain to you why it's the wrong source to be looking at, how that can impact your mind and change your thoughts. And let's have good, healthy conversations about sexuality. Evidence-based research shows the more parents are willing to talk about tough topics, the more they're willing to remove the secrecy, the more they're willing to be very open and honest about the topic of healthy sexuality, the less likely their children are going to go to other sources to receive answers. The best answers come from parents who help youth understand that healthy sexuality is a beautiful and amazing part of life. And coming on to understand your own sexual orientation, your own sexual identity, and preparing for the opportunity when you'll be able to be sexually active with the partner that you have chosen is amazing. So I encourage you, remove the myths, talk about healthy sexuality on a daily basis with your children in ways that has some laughter, some lightness, some seriousness, evidence-based facts, and helps young people feel very, very comfortable with their own sexuality and knowing that they can ask you as a parent any question that they need to ask, that they can come to you, even if kids at school are telling them things. We have to begin to acknowledge and believe that almost every one of our children are going to be exposed to pornography. Every one of our kids are going to be told things that are not factual about healthy sexuality, and we want them to know. They can come to us for answers, they can come to us for the truth, and they can come knowing that we'll have an open policy without shame, without guilt, and will help them understand and prepare for a beautiful and wonderful, healthy sexual relationship when the time is right. If we want to help create a big dent in pornography viewing and how pornography is going to impact the lives of our young people, it's if we begin the conversations about healthy sexuality with our kids. Thank you.